myself, you go through some awkward and uncomfortable situations associated with the N-word, whether it is the modern-day version or the historical version. For instance, singing along at a concert and hearing a predominant group of white people shout a lyric with the N-word, or listen to an Asian classmate participating in class reading and continuing with saying the N-word in the reading without hesitation. Correspondingly, having a Hispanic friend joke around with the N-word and execute the excuse that they have me or a significant other who is black to establish the acceptance in this situation. Furthermore, we as Black people have no choice but to accept this problematic occasion in order to not be accused of overreacting. And I believe that this should not be the case for anyone anymore. I feel that there is no possible environment to say the N-word, especially in an environment like school. Denby described how context is central to the way language works. It's why a term of endearment like baby might be affectionate between two lovers at home but grounds for sexual harassment complaint if a boss were to say it to another employee work. The relationships of the speaker to each other matter. Their comparative power, their past with each other, even stuff like who's around them when they say it. This probably uniquely true of the N-word, irradiated by America's ugly and ongoing racial story. It is commonly misunderstood that the N-word being said is the only reason why anger is our first reaction when we hear the word. However, this is not the case. It's more of the fact of the what, when, where, and why that the saying of the word. There is no logical reason for it to be said by a non-black individual, whether it is to start trouble or to feel overly accepted into the current minority class. I conducted an interview with one of Broad Run High School's AP World History teacher, Ms. Abdallah, about her views and experiences with the N-word. And for one of my questions I asked, is there any acceptable environment where the N-word could be said to school?
No. I would never use that verbiage in school. And like I said, I teach history. I don't teach American history. But if I did, there's no, because again, that's going to trigger my students, and for me, the number one thing is I need to create a safe learning environment. So my understanding of your question is like to use it, like to say it out loud. So if I was an English teacher and we were reading To Kill a Mockingbird, I think that's something we would have a conversation with the class where I say, hey, if we're going to read this out loud, every time we see that word, I'd like for us not to say that word. And in that context, I understand its educational purpose, but I still would avoid saying the actual N-word.
I find this to be the right way to incorporate the N-word in an education system in order to develop not only a safe environment, but as well as create acceptable boundaries for students to absorb for the future. I would like to believe that no teacher wants one of their former or current students to be found on the news or any social media platform and being depicted as any sort of racist just for using the N-word at the wrong place at the wrong time, only because their boundaries were not made in the classroom. Have you ever watched the most scariest movie when you were a child and to this day you were unable to watch it only because of how traumatic it was from watching it the first time? It's an example of a psychological scare, and that is basically what the N-word resembles. The word holds so much background and history that it illustrates the idea of an open wound that won't heal. With that being said, the N-word still to this day holds a psychological effect from the past it was created from. Price illustrates how we know that as early as 17th century, Negro evolved to the N-word as intentionally derogatory, and it has never been able to shed the baggage since then, even when Black people talked about appropriating and reappropriating it. The poison is still there. The word is inexorably linked with violence and brutality on Black psyches and derogatory aspirants passed on Black bodies. No degree appropriating can rid it of that black blood-soaked history. Personally, when I hear the N-word at its hurtful form, images of what I've learned about black history, what I saw in movies, and what I've seen on the news goes through my mind and sort of brings fear into my body, as if it is truly the poison that Christ describes it as going through my veins, because how much hate is involved with just one single word, and how many people died behind this word as an illustration. When the word is said, it's as if the ghost of the racists and murderers that used this word during slavery is behind the individual who's spitting the racial slur. Based off Ms. Abdallah's psychology background, she clarifies how.
So that's the big problem with it. If you know where it comes from and the context in which it was used, there's no good way to justify or condone the use of that word. And I'd like to point out it's a trigger. For some people, there's a lot of emotions that arise as soon as they hear that word. So again, if we don't use it, we don't have to worry about those things.
Notably, triggers commonly come from a negative background, whether it is abuse, neglect, or in other cases, racism. And like my grandma always told me, negative energy sticks longer than positive. And the N-word has stuck along for over 100 years. Furthermore, those who use the word know the history behind it and know the potential triggers that come with it, reasoning why they use the word in the first place. Even though the N-word does contain a dark history behind it, there are still individuals that believe that the word is simply just a word. Explicitly, people argue the right of freedom of speech, therefore everyone should be able to say it unless it is used out of hate, provided that, although the N-word obtains a very negative history, there are some people that believe that the N-word is no longer holds in effect since times have changed. BBC describes how a footage of a group of students at the University of New Hampshire was posted online, attracting national attention. The group, which included white students, were seen singing along to Kanye West's 2006 hit Gold Digger, which features the word prominently. They were widely criticized, and their university says the students had displayed poor judgment, but some came forward to defend them. The students didn't write the song, Kanye West did, wrote Piers Morgan in the Daily Mail. They didn't make millions of dollars from the song, Kanye West did. They're young, free, and partying, and it would have just seemed like any other very popular rap song, so they sang along to it. All people of all races listen to music such as rap, hip-hop, and R&B and enjoy every second of it. In addition, they even invest in listening to their favorite artists live. Therefore, they should not be restricted to sing along no matter how the music lyrics go if their reasoning is pure. Additionally, those could argue that they are paying customers, and if they are truly racist, they would not invest in an artist that is a race that they despise. Ms. Abdallah explained,
because I don't think the modern version is going anywhere. And I feel that depending on where you grow up, and it won't matter your race, if the people around you are predominantly black and allow you to use that word, then it becomes part of your vocabulary.
Identically, because the N-word is simply not going anywhere, there should be no problem for all people to say the word, since it is embedded in our language, or slang of today. Logically, another reason for the N-word to be picked up by non-black individuals is the fact that while you're surrounded by a language and a type of dialect for so long, your brain picks it up and eventually begins to speak the way your surroundings do. And with the rise of the minority class, all people will eventually say the N-word without issues to pick it up behind the word. In conclusion, the N-word is not simply just a word, but however a word that holds great power and a dark history. Therefore, there are specific rules that need to be respected in order to obtain positivity and tranquility as a human race. For instance, there is no appropriate place for a non-Black individual to say the N-word, and because of the psychological effects the word causes on Black individuals, it should not be said by any non-Black individual. However, in order to not submerge into the depths of hypocrisy, all individuals should remove the N-word from their language and try to move in a positive direction for change.